Hello, welcome to the Away Day Experience Show, the finale, the crescendo. This is where decisions are made. My name's Sam Davis.
My name's Tom Jordan.
This is Back of the Net, and throughout the season we've been to all 19 away Premier League games. Mate, I'm sad the season's over.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It is weird, but it'll soon come back round, mate.
It will soon come back round. And if you've been a regular to the show, you'll know that we've been doing away day reviews. And the clubs get put on a tier list. Here they are right now on screen. This is how it's looking. So you'll know by watching the previous show with myself and Tiggs reviewing the 19th and last away game at Everton. We put them in decent day, but we've said throughout all of this, Tom, the decision that we make at the time is not necessarily where it will finish, right? And there's a reason for that, because how can you compare it to ones that you haven't played yet? Yeah,
exactly. I think that's what we've always said, that sometimes you're gonna play a team right and early in the season and think, oh, that one very good, and then when you compare it to others, it was better than I thought. And it's always good to reflect after you've been to them all. I'm early thoughts, so I'm gonna make one switch in terms of tiers.
Okay.
But apart from that, I think now is time. We've got to go 19 up to 1 and actually order them, so you can see who's at the bottom and who's right at the top.
Let's get going then. We're kicking off with 19th, the lowest Premier League club away day ranking. Goes to Tom.
It's a sad one because it was on my birthday, but it's going to be West Ham. It's got to be West Ham. Don't mind West Ham as a football club at all. Unfortunately, though, I mean, if you've seen our show on it, it all culminated. Everything was awful.
There are so many problems. There are so many, and even West Ham fans aren't overly happy with it.
They would agree, I think, because of how good Upton Park was. But
the distance to the pitch, the
everything
lack
bad,
of
mate.
pubs. I know you can go into certain areas for home fans, but for away fans, it's not good. The price of food, mate, I spent north of £32 at half time for two hot dogs and 2 pints.
Yeah, and it's and like you say, mate, the atmosphere is not great because it's hard to get it going in there. Because I remember Upton Park was always good, and everything about it really, it was just. It's a real shame because, like I say, I was looking for it, but I don't think it helped that it got moved to a Monday night.
No,
and like we always say, a lot of teams, especially at that bottom section, are going to be in the Premier League with us next season. So, be interesting to see if they can, rise in that as well as the actual league table. Because, as we always say, mate, it depends on the day. It depends. We go off that game as a whole. It could all change next season. And the sad thing was, I'm not surprised West Ham was low. I always felt like it would be.
Right, next 18th position. Then who are we putting in there?
Brighton
and Hove Albion.
Yeah, Brighton for me. It was the trains. Oh my god, the trains. I stood up the whole journey. It was horrible. And then you've obviously got this thing where the stadium's not in Brighton, so all the Brighton fans then jump on this little train thing. And I think when we left the pub to go to the ground, we couldn't get on a couple of trains because you couldn't get in.
We nearly missed it. I mean, the actual stadium design's not bad, but I'll tell you what, the fans were actually quite disappointing given the season that they're having, which has culminated in the best possible way for them. The atmosphere I thought was actually pretty tepid. Yeah,
and it's one of them that now we know with the transport situation and that, and see what time of year we play them next season. But it's one that I do think has got a lot of things in there that could make it be a lot stronger next season. Just on that occasion, a lot of it was really poor pre-match, wasn't ideal, and like you say, the atmosphere for a team doing really well was a bit underwhelming as well.
So I suppose 17th place speaks for itself then. There's no change for Palace?
No change for Palace. They're going to be in there in 17th. But it was one that probably disappointed me the most because I've got decent experiences of Crystal Palace. But yeah, as you would have seen if you watched our show on it, there was a few problems that I'd like to think was just in isolation just on that day, and we called it at a bad time.
Women's toilets were flooded. Yeah. The view is absolutely awful.
Yeah.
Half time, the concourse wasn't particularly great. I mean, on a sunny day, it's okay, and it was quite sunny, but it was not good. Queues and the women, there were women that have had to go into the men's because there's only 3 working toilets. 2, I think it ended up being. Yeah, a lot of things that went against it, which was a shame really because I actually didn't mind the pre-match pub we went to. I thought that was quite nice. So it's got potential again to move up, but this time round, it was a poor one. Didn't enjoy the trip. Okay then, in 16th place then, who have we got?
16th place, I'm just going to go Wolves. Yeah, I'm going to go for Wolves. Wolves was disappointing, and it was close to being in the bottom, I've got to be honest, but I think the stadium itself and that probably done enough for it. It's not too bad, don't mind it, and travel and stuff isn't too bad. I spoke to some Wolves fans, and it seems to be a common theme actually amongst away fans. There's no real good away pubs.
No, there's not.
Not good options pre-match, and we had like a table thing, did we, like a restauranty thing.
Yeah. Can I just pretend to be one of the bar staff?
Yeah, go on. Oh God. Sorry. I had to take my hat off in the bar because I don't know, something to do with security. But yeah, it was just all a bit weird. And then I spoke to a few fans that went and said similar. So.
And also, I think it's one of the coldest stadiums as well. It wasn't on this particular day, but it can be. So, yeah not good.
Bit disappointed with Wolves. It just avoided that bottom section. But yeah, it's got to be in that position for me, mate.
Okay, who's in 15th then?
Chelsea.
It is Chelsea, of course.
Has to be Chelsea. Didn't mind it pre-match. I went a little bit out in terms of not really close to the stadium. But you all know Chelsea, obviously the prices, etc. But also, I've always thought with Chelsea, atmosphere's not great. Again, context. They've had an absolutely horrific season,
and we've had some good away days there before.
We have,
but this season it did disappoint.
Exactly. Atmosphere really poor, but and I know it's like saying context have had a poor season, but they actually won this game, and they weren't winning many games. So yeah, just a little bit disappointed, but I wasn't overly shocked. I'm not a massive fan of it. The only thing I did think was actually went onto the pitch, which obviously is not what we do here, but on the pitch we've had some good ones, but not this time anyway. But yeah, disappointed. But I'm going to make a switch.
Oh, okay.
There's one more going in this category.
There's one more. What, from the category above, of course?
Yeah.
It would be manic to go 2 categories down. Okay, so
this is my switch.
Who's moving down into Meh not the best?
Man City.
In 14th place, Manchester City. Why are you moving it down a category?
I think
I know why.
Well, as we mentioned, it was was it our first away game?
Yeah.
Yes. So first away, so it was obviously hard to compare. So I think it was probably easy to put it in the middle. But looking back and you see all the stuff from all the stadiums in the pre-match, it was really poor. It was a lot poorer than I thought. You had like a, what do they call it? Like a
fan park.
Yeah, a fan park. Which sounds all right in theory, but it was very touristy. It was just kind of a lot of Man City fans.
Have your photo with a mannequin of Pep Guardiola and stuff. And they served alcohol, but only for Man City fans. Which is like,
all of it about.
We're in Bournemouth.
Yeah, just didn't really like it. And also, I mean, come on, what more do they need to go low on one league table this season? Do you know what I mean? They've got everything. So stuff it. I don't even feel bad about moving them down. So yeah, they'll go to the top of that one. But I think next season it's one that maybe if we look into it a little bit more, we might be able to find like a decent bar before the game.
I think the fans deserve a bit of credit though, because I thought they
weren't too bad.
You think of top 6 fans, you think, but I thought they were actually pretty good, and they were giving it something against Bournemouth. But I agree with that. The whole experience wasn't particularly good, and also it was that hot day.
It was, yeah.
And they were giving out free water, but it was very difficult. They were supposed to have water stations. They didn't. You had to go to the bar to get it. Yes. Queues were there. Wasn't overly great, so everyone was getting very hot under the collar.
Yes.
So that's Man City in 14th. Tom,
yes.
Who have we got in 13th place?
They're arch rivals, the Red Side of Manchester. I'm going to put Manchester United in there. Done enough to stay in that category for me.
Yeah.
Because I think beforehand, was it called Lime Bar?
Lime Bar, yeah.
Didn't mind that.
In opposite Media City, yeah.
Yeah, didn't mind that. But in terms of the stadium, I think it's been talked about a lot. I think even Gary Neville openly has said it. They need to do more to that stadium. It's a massive football club, and they've just let it rot.
It's tired.
Yeah, it really is. And you think of these modern grounds now, and you think, yes, you've got to have a bit of character to it, but they've got to do more to that. It's a massive football club.
It sort of reminds me of the old Wembley.
Yeah, it's just disappointing. Actually disappointing for their fans.
Yeah.
But also, I didn't think the atmosphere was brilliant. They beat us 3-0 on the day as well, so there was no excuse for that. The only time I really remember them chanting was when Martinez come on. They were just singing Argentina because they won the World Cup. It was a bit bizarre. But yeah, it's done enough to be in the middle, I think, but at the bottom of it for sure. So it's one that can move up. But I just think they need to, as you said, mate, ground's a bit tired.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, who's in 12th?
Well, they'll be very happy to be 12th. Southampton.
Yeah.
And congratulations. Mid-table finish for Southampton. A bit rare for them. No, joking aside, I think there's it's quite easy to go in this camp and be about mid-table because there's so many pros in terms of the bit of needle it does have, the logistics, it's so blooming close. But there's also things about it that can be a little bit frustrating as well, and it's obviously going to be a bit more security heavy, and you had a few little issues in the pub.
And the fans, I thought, obviously, again, it's related to their season, but the fans weren't really giving it some
as much as they normally do.
Otherwise,
it could have went a few places higher, but I think that's fair. Fair to put them in there, mate.
Okay, so on to 11th place. Who have we got?
Leeds.
Leeds United, okay, fair play.
Yeah, and I think they're probably quite a strong 11th, and obviously we're not going to be able to see them as the same as Southampton. We're not going to see it next season, but yeah, there were certain bits that I quite enjoyed. I think again, it's so far for us, doesn't help. Their fans, to be fair to them, they can get it rocking in there, which is, I think, on a separate show when we were talking about kind of that staying up, I always felt that might keep them up.
If we were just doing atmosphere, they would be right up.
Yes,
there,
they would. There's, like I say, logistically certain bits and bobs. I'm not a mad fan of the stadium. You're kind of in a corner a little bit.
We went to a pub that's now closed down.
Yeah, that's true.
Dry salters no longer there. Absolute mad scenes. I think the week after Bournemouth went there, that's what we do. Cause issues wherever we go.
Yeah, and obviously
the view as well wasn't overly good. It was very antiquated. There was a certain. I get quite nostalgic when I go to stadiums like that, but I couldn't bring myself to because it was Leeds.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, and there's obviously that little thing there, and I think that means that when we talk about kind of the people and that there's that little bit there, that's nothing against the people, but because of that little rivalry now that we've kind of created ourselves, to be honest. But yeah, I think the thing that helped it was the atmosphere. You cannot take that away from Leeds as a football club. But I mean, that's why they're going to be strong again next season. Forget who they're going to have on the pitch. They've got like a 12 man at times. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's fair to whack them in 11th, mate.
Okay, into our top 10 now, and we're doing the team in 10th, which is
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa, brilliant.
Probably quite makes sense for them to be at the top of this camp because they were close to being in the category above, I would say. Maybe just missed out on the sense that they're having a very good season in the end under Emery, which is when we played them. And I didn't think the atmosphere was as rocking as I expected.
No, it wasn't, no.
We are aware, and we always say this, that you are playing Bournemouth, etc., etc. But that's just my opinion on it. But I actually quite like the stadium.
Yeah.
I quite like, kind of in and around the place and before match. I think it's quite a nice one. It's one that I'll be thinking, I'm quite looking forward to that one.
The pub was all right. There are a couple of choices. I mean, there wasn't a beer garden or anything like that. Maybe next time we'll go to a different pub, maybe.
But I like the fact that I think we sold it out, if not all but. And sometimes that can be an issue before the game, but there's a few options. So I like that because it means it's up to you if you want to get in somewhere that's, you know what I mean, and that's going to be the same next season. So yeah, I'm happy with it, and just missed out on going the category above. So see if they can do that next season.
Any more switcheroos?
No more switcheroos in terms of the actual categories.
Okay, right, 9th then. So from this point forward, they're all decent day or better. Yeah. So in 9th spot we have
Arsenal.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to put Arsenal in there. I think they deserve to be in that spot because I think I would say the reason here in terms of them and Villa, which I think were very close, was atmosphere. Because we said when we spoke about Southampton actually how previously they can get it going in there and they really disappointed. I think Arsenal was the opposite. I'm aware, obviously, again we get into context because of how successful season they had, and everyone will remember they scored last kick against us, but. The Emirates is known for people seeing, is this the Emirates?
Is it the Ashburton Army? This kind of group of fans that are in one of the ends that really try to get it going now.
I just thought fair play to them. I thought they scored late goals in the game, just going into the game a little bit, and I think they were part of that. They were 2-0 down to Bournemouth, and they kept trying to drive them on, which is not what not in a horrible way, but that's not what I see from Arsenal. I see Arsenal kind of moaning and groaning, and they were like, no, we're going to get them over the line, and I thought they really helped.
I think they were fairly similar to Everton in the way that there were peaks and troughs, whereas it wasn't a kind of relentless getting behind this team. Obviously, it's very difficult when Bournemouth take the lead after 9 seconds, or whatever it is.
Of course.
But when they did get behind the lads, they almost, every time they sucked the ball into the back of the net, and they certainly did in the last minute. So I think 9th is about right there.
Yeah, I think that's
great
fair.
Pub as well.
That's what I was just about to say. I really, when I was debating because I was debating, that was probably the next one I was debating, them and Villa.
Yeah.
And I think that's what topped it for me. I thought, I really like, what was it called, sorry? Fulton Fullback.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that. Never been there before. Recommend that one. Enjoyed that. So yeah, that's why it gets in that category for me.
But you know why I'm glad it's at the bottom of that tier?
Right, why?
Wig World. Can't be any higher than that because of Wig World.
It's alright, mate.
In 8th place, who have we got then?
Liverpool.
Okay, Liverpool. Right. Okay, explain.
Liverpool for me, I quite like pre-match.
That's the Arkles?
Arkles, yeah, quite like it in
Parking
there.
was relatively easy, wasn't it? With a just park my driveway sort of thing.
Yeah, all that good. Don't mind the people, etc. So I think, pretty strong. The thing that disappointed for me was, it's kind of the opposite of Arsenal. They're known for the atmosphere.
Yeah.
They beat us 9-0
And then,
barely heard a song.
Yeah, that was bad.
And I do get all this thing of they get it rocking in a Champions League night.
Apart from one fan,
he got chucked out.
Ended up getting chucked out,
which was stupid. He shouldn't have been chucked out. But yeah, I think because of that, and again, probably dipping into the City thing, and I do appreciate it because it's against Bournemouth, but it felt a bit touristy near us in terms of the fans. I don't think they sang much. I don't think they know much of the songs.
No, they don't.
And yeah, but I still think it deserved to be decent and in a decent spot in that top half because of the fact that before the game, as I say, people are great. You can go in Arkles, you can see some of the Scousers, and they're a really nice bunch. And yeah, so I did still enjoy it.
Do you think they're nice because they're playing Bournemouth and we're no threat?
And that's where it has pros and cons. It means they do well in terms of that because we're no threat. They quite like us. We have a good natter, but then it also means the atmosphere drops because they don't really care. So I think ninth spot is completely fair, mate.
All right, okay.
Sorry, eighth spot.
In 7th spot, who have we got?
Leicester
City. Okay, yeah.
I quite like Leicester. It's probably, I maybe expected it to be a little bit higher from previous visits because I do like County House.
The County House, yeah.
Do like it as a pub. Yeah,
it's where the fans go.
It is where the fans go, and I do really enjoy it because I think if you get lucky with the weather, which we did, and I always have actually when I've been there, massive front beer garden, which means you could all mingle, and I just like the way the pub is, and I always think so many people in there. But what they do really well is they always have enough staff and you're never queuing.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's really good. Stadium, I don't mind the stadium. Yeah. I think the view sometimes really on the side that maybe drops it a little bit.
You can go slightly around the corner, so you've almost got a diagonal view. But
again, it was one that probably it's understandable because of obviously what's happened to them this season. They've ended up going down. So it's a real shame that I remember thinking, I'm a bit gutted that I can't go there, which is why it's doing well. But I think again they weren't exactly like your Leeds where they really try to carry them over the line. I thought they're a bit disappointing, but I think that's a fair spot for Leicester, mate.
I think that's a fair spot. Right, where are we going to next then? 6th place, Tom?
Fulham,
okay. And now I thought this would be knocking on the door of Bang a Visit, I must say.
So did I.
But there must have been reasons why not. I mean, this time round, we've done a couple of away day reviews for Fulham because we didn't win the Championship.
Of course.
And that was where it was a night game, and we did the whole Uber boat thing. It was quite cool. I think if we looked back at that, I don't know where we put it, but for me that was a pretty good one. But for this one, it was a 3 o'clock Johnny Gardeners or something, wasn't it? It's a plush pub.
Yeah, and really enjoyed the pub, to be fair. And I think I like everything about Fulham. And let's remember, it is in 6th place. That's very strong.
Yeah. And
I am looking forward to going to Fulham. I'm trying to think, just looking at the ones that are above it. I don't think it's anything against Fulham. I think the others just edged it, to be honest with you. I wonder if disappointing, but we went to Jolly Gardens, which I really enjoyed. But the one that most people go to is the 8 Bells.
Yeah, which is sometimes way too busy.
And that's just annoying because you think, I want to get in with all the fans. But it's almost got to a point now where you avoid it because you literally can't get a drink. It's so rammed. And they don't do well with the staffing. And
genuinely, when I find out what the AFC Bournemouth pub is, I try to find another one. And that's not because of AFC Bournemouth fans, it's just because of busyness.
Yeah, and I think where we just said about Leicester with the business, that what they do is they anticipate that and there's loads of staff. I just think Fulham don't seem to do that with the 8 Bells. But listen, it's sick for a reason. I do enjoy Fulham and looking forward to it again.
A mixed concourse, not ideal.
That was it.
And also after the game as well, train situation. We weren't sure which train stations were open or not. They seemed to have this hour window and stuff. So, but we ended up getting back okay. But I think 6th is probably fair for Fulham. Right, who have we got in 5th spot then, Tom?
Well, it's another London one, mate. Tottenham.
Yeah,
I've got Tottenham in 5th spot. I think. We all know how lovely the stadium is.
Yeah, stadium's
it's gorgeous. It's absolutely brilliant. Beautiful. Pricing and that's not ideal, but and atmosphere again, they're not going to be great because they've had a disappointing season.
And the concourse was good because you have a sing-song. Plus, there's the 2 levels. So if you like it a bit claustrophobic, then downstairs as well. If you want a bit of space to breathe, then upstairs where there's an extra bar as well.
I think the main thing that because I think decent day, it's easily in decent day. The reason it's quite high, doing well in there and above the ones that we've just mentioned, was it's the first time I went there was pre-match. We went to the Beehive.
Yeah, great pub that.
Which was mixed. Yeah. Which was mixed, and you're never sure, but in the sunny weather, the outside's massive. Yeah. So many, few little different bars, one outside. It was TVs everywhere. You can get some food. I just really enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward to going there again. So it's done well and. Yeah, and we won't, obviously we don't tap into the game, but that did help.
It helps that we win. Okay then, so top 4 now. Has your team been mentioned yet? No.
coming
Well, it
up.
could be next. 4th spot. Who we got?
Brentford. Done better than... This was one that obviously was brand new.
Brand new to us, yeah, brand new.
So that's definitely helped it, for sure, because it's new, so that obviously always helps it. But I kind of went into it, obviously, not really knowing anything and going in with that kind of blank canvas. But I actually quite liked it. Quite liked the stadium, thought the atmosphere was okay.
Yeah, the pre-match I loved.
But that's what I was going to say. I think
Loved that.
I think what they did was they had the streets on, didn't they, and all that.
And the flashlights and everything. I thought it was really good. Hey Jude and all that.
Yeah, and I thought it's not something you think too much about when you go to these games, but it stood out for me in terms of getting it going before the game.
But I know this isn't about the football, but it is a bit annoying though when something happens in the game that about 2 months later the PGMOL admit that they got wrong. That's a bit annoying.
Who was it that won that penalty for him?
Ivan Toney, I think.
Oh, okay. It was nice for us to have him up front against us. That was fair. Yes. Apart from all that, I think, and the game was disappointing from our point of view, by the way. Yeah. But I think it was new, and I was going into it thinking, "Oh, will it disappoint?" Because I quite like the old stadium. Yeah. It had a bit of quirkiness to it.
Good atmosphere. Yeah.
But I enjoyed it, mate. And I think, like you say, that pre-match stuff and the way they got it going in there, it impressed me. So that's why it's getting 4th.
Top 3 now. Top 3. You know what, mate? I'm getting excited.
Yes.
I'm getting really excited. Okay. In 3rd spot is
Everton. And obviously discuss this one with you, and obviously you've done it with Tiggs.
Yeah.
And I think you agreed with me when we were talking about it that you think 3rd's probably a fair spot for it because I mean it looked and it seems like it. Obviously game stake again. They obviously stayed up, but it can get rocking. It
can get rocking, and you know what? During the game, I felt like their team were a bit passive, and therefore it was reflecting in the crowd. But when they needed to get behind them, when they smelt blood, they again, like Arsenal, sucked the ball into the back of the net, and the noise. I don't think I've heard anything like that. Possibly the loudest I've ever heard.
Well, there you go.
And you know what? They're ones that have come close. Leeds this season was pretty close because that roar for their 3-2, their 3-0, their 4-3 goal. Wow. But this one was something special. Obviously, a little bit dipping into the football. It's going to.
Yeah,
it's going to. Because that's why survival weekend.
Yeah, and next season it could go really low because suddenly we play them when it doesn't matter. We don't know, and that's why we always say it's on that one day. But I think, as you say, Arkle's is the same as Liverpool. So
safe bet.
Yeah, so you've got a nice stadium.
And not as busy as well this time as well, because most other people went to the other Everton pub.
But you've got nice stadium with Goodison and with Anfield. Yeah. You've got the same pub and, you know, all that stuff. Yeah. But they get it rocking, and they got it rocking on this occasion, which Liverpool didn't when we played them. So that's the difference in
the stadium's quite antiquated in some ways. The view isn't particularly great, but if you know where to sit, then your view's very good, and then you're in the heart of the atmosphere. And I think there's a real nice feel. Sometimes you go to grounds like Palace and it's got a very dilapidated feel. Everton, like Goodison, feels like the grand old lady a little bit in terms of stadia, whereas Selhurst Park doesn't quite feel like that. So I'm pleased to have it in 3rd place there.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair, mate. I think that's fair.
Okay, in Number 2nd place we have got
Nottingham Forest.
And I love this away day.
I do. It was very close to bang a visit.
Yeah, you know,
very close.
I was tempted to put it up there.
I know. I was tempted. I've got to be honest. I was tempted. I do love Forest. I think the only reason I didn't quite put it in bang and visit.
Yeah.
And again, we keep saying it, but Gabe said they were 2-0 up in this game, and we got probably the best improbable comeback of the season, I would say.
You're never seeing that.
We obviously come back and won 3-2, so that makes sense of why this was the case, but I didn't feel like they got it bouncing enough.
No.
Because I've seen since, and I've seen on the telly and stuff, they can get it going in there.
Against Arsenal.
Yeah, and their home form is what's kept them up.
Wow.
And so obviously, again, appreciate the way the game went, but that was the only reason for me that hasn't gone bang a visit.
Pre-match pubs are quite exciting and cool. I mean, we've been to Ye Old Jerusalem before. There are others. Hooters, of course, if you want to do that. You wouldn't want to do that though, would you?
No, not at all. I haven't got a t-shirt or anything.
No, of course
I didn't pick up a t-shirt from Hooters.
But the Canal House.
Canal House I love.
You know what? It's like partially covered outside, huge outdoor area, quirky inside where you go with a little hill, a ramp, and then there's a barge on the right hand side, and a bar that's kind of well staffed and good food as well.
Yeah.
I think Kieran came with us for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, really enjoyed that.
And one of the rare places that I always like that let you out at half time as well.
Yeah, oh yes,
which is very rare.
Yeah.
I just like that. I give you that option, but it was a nice day. But yeah, very, very close to banging visit. But it's definitely one that I'm going to be looking on that fixture list and going when we go to Nottingham. So
I do like, in person. I like their fans on Twitter. They can come across a bit arsey,
like,
are you sure your stadium's going to be up for it? When they came to us, of course that was going to be the joke. But I know a few of them. Dave, if you're watching, top man. Yeah, I can't wait to meet you when we play you again.
Yeah,
we were singing 21 players. They're all in.
Yeah,
but. Tell you what, Steve Cooper, they stuck by him, and doesn't it pay off to stick by your man, eh?
Yeah, exactly. It's a weird one, but I'll tell you what, you said about the people on Twitter, I was relieved they didn't win the last day, they would have finished above us.
Yeah.
Bash at that. But yeah, I like it as well, and you said Dave, shout out to Wolfie as well, who I met recently, and top guy, and yeah, I think I'm going to look forward to Nottingham, mate, definitely.
So that leaves one team. They've not been mentioned yet. I think you know who it is. They've been in pole position the whole way through the season. It is Tom.
Newcastle. No surprise, is it? It's no surprise. But to have that bad a view as away fans, which actually I'm going to dip into it a little bit.
Go on.
I don't think it's fair.
What?
That it's the only stadium in the league where you are so far away you can't impact the game from an atmosphere point of view. They've got an advantage.
Yeah, they have got an advantage.
But if to be in bang and visit, even with that, shows how good everything else is.
Yeah.
Before the game's amazing. The Geordies are legends.
The people were brilliant.
The atmosphere's crazy.
And you know what?
Fans are just... Everything's brilliant.
And we were actually at a game where the atmosphere wasn't that crazy because of, obviously, it was the weekend after the passing of the Queen.
It was.
Therefore, there were no flags and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I don't know if we can have a tier above banging visit, but next season, mate, it could be up there because, we've seen it on the TV. It looks absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
But everything combined
was
just, it's a great city and it's a great vibe. And what I like about it is there's no dedicated away pubs. And you think that's a bad thing. It's because the Geordies are so hospitable and so welcoming. Yeah. You're welcome in any pub.
I love the Geordies.
They're brilliant people.
Yeah, soft spot for them. But yeah, it's and if you were loved it in Bournemouth and you love Bournemouth, I think the best thing to do if you want to move somewhere is to move to Newcastle, isn't it, Eddie? So I don't blame him. Look at when he got to Newcastle, think, that's the next best place you can go to. So fair play. Newcastle thoroughly deserve that. And I think because of how good it is, it probably deserves to have its own tier and be up there on its own. But there's a few in there. Obviously, we'll have a few new ones, but also open playing field next season. But there's a few that could knock on the door next season to compete with them. I think so. Looking forward to it, mate.
And maybe we'll mix up the categories too.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a little play. You've got to keep it fresh,
we'll
mate.
Have a play.
Yeah.
Look, if you stuck by us throughout the whole of the season, thank you so much. We truly appreciate it.
Especially if you're a West Ham fan.
Bournemouth fans, obviously, we appreciate it, but if you're a fan of any other club, look, there's going to be lots of Premier League content next season because Bournemouth are Premier League. We can't wait. Loads of content dropping over the summer as well. So, look, tell your mates about this channel, do a like, and also subscribe if you haven't already. Myself, Tom, Tiggs, Jeff, Neil, we all appreciate it. Yes. Until the next one.
Until the next away game.
Up the cherries.
Up the cherries. See you later. That's so long till an away game. Oh, my God.
Oh, too long.
What's the earliest it can be? What would you do?